Hey friends, welcome back to the channel. I'm Tori, and today we are going to be giving out the 2025 Book Awards, which you guys voted on. So I had asked you all a few weeks ago, hey, do you guys want me to do a Book Awards kind of thing at the end of the year? And it was overwhelmingly, yes, we want you to do this video, so this is your fault. I'm just kidding. This is going to be super fun. So I came up with a small list of book awards. I took some from some of the book awards that I've done in the past, and then I opened it up to my patrons to make some suggestions of other categories that they wanted me to include in this video. And I think we've got a really good mix of things, both story related and character related. It's going to be a good time. So settle in, because I have some great awards to hand out today. I'm so excited about it. It's always so much fun to get to the end of the year and reflect back on all of the amazing reads that I've had in the last year, which is one of the reasons why I love doing my top 10 video. However, it's even more fun, I think, to dig a little deeper and to figure out which elements of these stories really stood out to me, which characters are living rent-free in my head, which plot twist caught me the most off guard in the books that I read this year. It's a really fun exercise that I honestly think pretty much any reader can benefit from, to go back and really dig into why these favorite books were your favorites throughout the year. We are going to start off with a category that was suggested by my wonderful patron Don, and that is, what was the best plot twist or surprise that I had this year? Now, there were some crazy plot twists, you guys. There were some crazy plot twists, both in books that I really loved, books that I ended up not loving as much, but still had really powerful reveals in them. Now, it was really hard to decide 3 different nominees for this category, but I ended up going with 3 that had some really twisty, suspenseful turns in their pages. The first one, of course, being Doomakey by Stephen King, which had me guessing pretty much all the way up until the end, and that ending, you guys, was such a mind-bending, crazy thing to experience. The second one is The Hod King by Josiah Bancroft. This one, I can't say much because it's the 3rd book in a series, but you guys, there's something that happens to one of the side characters in The Hod King that absolutely blew my mind and broke me at the same time, that had been kind of building up in the background quietly for 3 books. The last nominee is To Kill a Mockingbird by Harper Lee. This one, I think, this is such a lauded classic for a reason. Now, this story does have a crime that happens as kind of the central conflict, and there were just so many twists and turns throughout the book, and it's all told, of course, from the perspective of a young girl, which just makes it all the more tense. But those are my 3 nominees for the biggest plot twist, and I'm actually going to give it to The Hod King by Josiah Bancroft. You guys know that character wins for me every single time, and while the plot twists were absolutely wild in Doomakey and really heartrending in To Kill a Mockingbird, the character plot twist that happened in The Hod King just absolutely broke me. It is still living in my head, and I'm still not okay. So that is my official choice for the best plot twist of 2025. Next up, we have a suggestion from my patron Leah, and she wanted to know what we are going to give for the best cover for 2025. Now, this is a great award to give because I love covers so much, but I'm not an impulsive cover buy person. I don't typically buy books based on the cover. That being said, I'm a big art nerd, and so I love a well put together cover. My 3 nominees for this category are, first, The Arm of the Sphinx, Book 2 in Josiah Bancroft's Books of Babel. I absolutely love the way these covers are designed. I love that it's minimalistic in terms of color and tone, but it has so much intricate detail in the cover and in the different motifs that take place across the series. It's such a good cover design. The next one is going to be The Children of Gods and Fighting Men by Shauna Lawless. This cover is such a phenomenal example of how to do a typography-based cover beautifully. It evokes the tone and the historical fantasy element of the story. It's beautiful, it's eye-catching, it's absolutely my standard now for how typography covers should look. And last but not least, we have Empire of Silence by Christopher Rocchio. I find this cover so eye-catching and I love the color purple to begin with. And we have so many covers in sci-fi and fantasy that feature a main character on the front, but Hadrian just looks so incredibly imposing, and it does really evoke the story inside the cover so well, in my opinion. So those are my 3 nominees, and the one that is going to take the award for 2025 is going to be Children of Gods and Fighting Men by Shauna Lawless. You guys, I can't say enough things about how amazing this cover is. I think it's brilliant, and what excites me the most about it is that I had a cover that is pure typography in my top 3 covers of the year, and also was my favorite. I can't stop looking at it. I think it's absolutely gorgeous. So my next award was suggested by my good friend and patron, K.E. Andrews, who is also a fellow indie author. Please go check out her works. And she wanted to know what my favorite animal companion was from this year. And there were 2 that really stood out from my reads in 2025. The first one is Airdra, the dragon from Michael R. Miller's The Last Stand of the Stone Fist, which is a novella that takes place prior to his book 1, Ascendant, in his Songs of Chaos series. Airdra is just such a cool dragon character, and the story in that novella, you guys, oof, it's gonna get you right in the feels. The second one is gonna be Nana from the Traveling Cat Chronicles. Nana was a feral cat who was injured and out on the streets, and he is adopted by a young man, and together they go on a road trip. And that's all I'm gonna say about that, because that is a book that you should definitely read, because it will also tear your heart out, stomp on it, tape it back together, and stick it back in your chest. So please go check that out. The best animal companion from this year has to go to Nana from the Traveling Cat Chronicles. We get the entire story told through Nana's point of view, and Nana's perspective on the world and humanity is so well written. It's incredible, and that was an easy choice for me this year based on the list that I had. The next category is the best character dynamic, suggested by my friend and patron Kai. Now, this one was a little bit tricky because she especially wanted me to focus on things like child-child relationships, parent-child relationships, and I took that a step further to include mentor and younger character relationships, because there's so many good ones in the books that I've read this year. There's so many good ones, but 3 really stood out to me as I was trying to figure out the ones that were up at the top of the stack. The first one is Samuel Vimes and young Sam Vimes from the book Snuff in the City Watch by Terry Pratchett. Sam Vimes as a father is just the most delightful thing you'll ever see in your life, and young Sam is so full of all of the things that make young children magical. It's a beautiful relationship. I absolutely loved it. The second one that I wanted to point out is from the Books of Babel series between Iron and Valletta, and I'm not going to say too much about these characters, obviously, since these are like multiple books in a series, but that relationship is one that really touched me. It's a beautiful example of found family and of someone who's pretty rough around the edges trying to take on a nurturing or motherly role. And last but not least, from the Riverfall Chronicles, we have Isaac Caradoc and Inkwell Featherfield. Isaac is a jaded leader of a rebel gang, and Inkwell Featherfield is basically the equivalent of a modern-day Artful Dodger. So they are absolutely delightful together. I love those 2 characters so much. But I think if I have to pick one out of the 3, all 3 of them are so good, but I think if I have to pick one of the 3, it's gonna have to go to Samuel Vimes and young Sam Vimes from Snuff by Terry Pratchett. There's something just so incredibly magical about these 2 together, that they were at the top of my list, despite heavy competition from the rest of the reads I had this year. Now we have a suggestion from my good friend Pete from Ponderings of Pete, and he wanted to know what was the most awkward scene that I read this year. And you guys, there were some scenes that did not need to be seen anywhere by anyone ever. And the nominees for this category are going to go to The Lions of Al Rassan by Guy Gavriel Kay. Someone please ban this man from ever writing any spice scenes in his books ever again, because you guys, it's not good. It's really not good. It's awful. There was a scene in this book, the whole book together was like really, really good, but there's a specific scene about 2/3 of the way through the book that just about made me put it down. My second nominee for this category is going to be Stormfront by Jim Butcher, which is funny because I actually really enjoyed the book overall, a lot more than I thought I was going to going into it. However, there's a specific character in this book named Bob, and I'm not going to say anything about Bob or who Bob is, but if you know, you know. And I'm not gonna lie, Bob was the tough part of this read for me. Like, if we take Bob out of Stormfront, it probably gets an extra star, if I'm being totally honest. But yeah, Bob just made things really awkward for everybody. And last but not least, Howling Dark by Christopher Rocchio. There is a scene in this book that I can't talk about because it's a massive spoiler and it's, you know, impossible to tell you what it is without spoiling a lot of things. So I'm not going to do that. But there's a scene that happens to the main character, Hadrian, in this book that, yeah. I did not DNF this book, but I almost did at this scene because it was so awful and awkward and I hated every minute of it. And the winner of the most awkward scene, honestly any of these three could have taken it, but I'm actually going to give it to Guy Gavriel Kay with The Lions of Al Rassan. Honestly, you guys, the scenes in this book were so incredibly unnecessary in my opinion and took away from what otherwise would have been a 5-star read for me. So Lions of Al Rassan by Guy Gavriel Kay is my most awkward scene of the year. Alright guys, the next category is the best series that I started in 2025. Now the problem with this one is that I had to have read at least 2 books in the series to be able to nominate it for this award. And I haven't read more than 1 book in a lot of series this year. So this one's going to come down to 2 different series, and honestly, both of these, one of them has a book in my honorable mentions for my top 10, and one of them was actually on my top 10 of the year. The first one is going to be Claymore by Norihiro Yagi. This is a manga series that I have some nostalgic connection to from back when I was in high school. I saw the anime and wanted to go back and read the manga from some nostalgic anime vibes, and you guys, it was so good. The series is so good. It's so good. And it's so layered and so deep, and it was everything I was looking for in a manga read this year. The other one that I'm going to nominate for this is the Detective Kaga series by Keigo Higashino. Most of you know that I've been dipping into murder, mystery, and thriller this last year or so, and I have discovered Higashino's writing, and it was just everything that I wanted as a gateway into murder mystery. Honestly, it's so good. It really, he does so many different things in the 2 books that I've read by him already. I cannot wait to read more. Malice and Newcomer were both fantastic reads for me this year. Newcomer was one of my honorable mentions for my top 10 list in 2025. And if I have to give it to one of these, I have to give it to the Detective Kaga series by Keigo Higashino. I highly recommend this series. I have his 3rd book in the series on deck, at least of the ones that have been translated into English, and I'm really hoping that we get more of them translated in the near future because I'm going to run out of Higashino books way faster than I would like to. So, Detective Kaga by Higashino is my best new series started in 2025. Now this one doesn't have any nominees, it's just the book that gets the award, and this one is the oldest book that I read in 2025. This is an award I love giving out because I really enjoy classic literature, and I love to see which of these books that I've read during the year has been around the longest. And this year it goes to a book that got it by quite quite a bit of time, and that is Dracula by Bram Stoker, which was published in 1897. This is by no means the oldest book that I have read, but it is the oldest book that I read this year, and I had a really good time overall with this book. I think that it is a actually surprisingly good classic for people who maybe aren't as familiar with classics, because it grips you and it's very exciting right away in the beginning of the story. So anyway, kudos to Dracula for being the oldest book on my read list this year. Next up is one of my favorite awards to give every year, and that is the Cinnamon Roll Character Award. Now, to avoid any confusion for those of you that might not be sure what I mean when I say Cinnamon Roll Character, think of the most beautifully pure soul, the sweetest character that you've ever read. That's a Cinnamon Roll character. This is a character who we would move mountains to protect this character, okay? That they are too pure for this world. And that is a Cinnamon Roll character. So my nominees for this category are young Nobby Nobbs from the Night Watch book by Terry Pratchett. Nobby Nobbs is one of my favorite characters in the Motley crew that is the City Watch. Bless him, he's a little dumpster fire of a character, and I could not love him more. And in Night Watch, we get a little glimpse of baby Nobby Nobbs, basically. Little Nobby Nobbs. And oh my goodness, you guys. I can't. I just can't. I can't. That's all she wrote. Then we have Byron from Josiah Bancroft's Books of Babel series. Byron is a character that just wiggled his way right into my heart through the series. I love him so much. And he's one of those characters that, like, in the midst of absolute violent chaos all around him, he will make sure that you have a good cup of tea. And last but not least, we have Satoru from the Traveling Cat Chronicles. Satoru is Nana the cat's owner, and just his willingness to become a cat person to take care of this stray injured cat that he finds outside, and the way that he so desperately tries to make sure that Nana is taken care of through the entire book is just so adorable. For all of my cat lovers out there, please read this book. You will cry, grab your tissues, but it is so incredibly good. And the character that I'm going to be giving my Cinnamon Roll Award for 2025 to is young Nobby Nobbs from Night Watch by Terry Pratchett. I don't even have words for how I felt when young Nobby Nobbs showed up on the pages, you guys. I don't have words. It was so adorable, I couldn't even speak. So he gets the award because there was nothing else I could do about it. Next up is a suggestion by my good friend and patron, Christopher Navo, who is also a phenomenal booktuber. Please go check him out. And this one was a great suggestion. This is a character that I loved to hate. We are dipping into our anti-heroes and our villains. Now, I wouldn't say it's been exactly a lax year for the villains over here on the Tori Talks channel, but I didn't have as many that really stuck out to me this year, especially since I have read so many amazing villains in the last few years on BookTube in my reads. And I can't count, or don't count, any rereads, so that takes out things like the Grey King from The Lies of Locke Lamora, who absolutely would have been on this list. But the way that I interpreted this award is just a character who I can't stand, and I really don't like them, but they're really well written. So there were two characters that jumped onto this list for me. The first one is Luke Merritt from the Books of Babel by Josiah Bancroft. And I'm not going to tell you a lot about his character because you do have to go through a bit of the story to meet him. I'm not going to tell you guys too much about his character because you have to get through a bit of the story to meet him. But man, when you have a character who is so convinced, they're so convinced that they are, like, doing the right thing, no matter the cost. You know, I think we've all been there, right? We've all felt that. And Luke Merritt is one of those characters where, like, you never quite know where you're standing, you never know what he's gonna do next, and you know that he believes wholeheartedly that he is, like, the be-all, end-all of truth and justice. Another one that I want to bring up is Percy from Doomakey. Now, this is another one I can't say too much about because This one I have to be really careful about, actually, now that I'm thinking about it. The mystery and the terror surrounding the antagonistic forces in Doomakey, am I doing a good job? Are so chilling, so haunting, and the more that gets revealed, the more you just feel it like constricting your lungs as you're reading. I don't know how to describe it other than that. And yeah, we'll leave it at that because it was an experience. I honestly think the best written one of these two has to go to Percy from Doomakey, because there was not any other book that I read this entire year that chilled me to the bone the way that Doomakey did, and the way that the antagonistic forces within Doomakey left an impression on me as a reader, and I really understood why Stephen King is as good of a writer as he is because of this book. Alright guys, another one that I get very excited about giving out every single year that I have done this video is my Slytherin award. I am from Slytherin House, and I always find it really fun to look back through my reads and figure out if there's a character that I think fits so perfectly into the archetype of what Slytherin is to me. And this one was such an easy pick that I don't even have nominees, you guys. Like, the minute this story happened, he was the winner. There was no competition. There was no one else. There was no one else that the Sorting Hat would have chosen other than this character. And that is Willykins from Snuff by Terry Pratchett. Willykins is Samuel Vime's butler. And you guys, he is not just a butler. He is a very multi-talented butler who, like, will make sure that your clothes are freshly pressed and also could kill everyone in a blink. Like, but the restraint is there, and he is just a delight of a character. I loved him so much in this book. He was one of the highlights of this book for me, and I could not be more happy to award him the Slytherin House Cup for the year 2025. Next up, we have the Best Motley Crew Award. Of course I have to give out a Motley Crew Award, you guys. Like, that's not a choice. Every year I have to give out a Motley Crew Award, and man, were there some fantastic Motley Crews this year. We have the Motley Crew from the Books of Babel, which definitely, oh my goodness, they're so good. They're so amazing together. I loved them so much. The characters really just won this series over for me. The second nominee for this category is The City Watch by Terry Pratchett, because of course I read 4 books in The City Watch this year, and I just loved them more and more with each book, if that's even humanly possible. And last but not least, I'm actually going to include a nomination for The Townspeople of Newcomer by Keigo Higashino. There's a little, like, mini community within Tokyo where this story takes place, and there's all these different shops that have been here for multiple generations, and each of them is manned by a different family. And as we were going around to the different families and discovering their family secrets and all of these things, like, it was just so well done, and they were so interesting as a group that I had to include them in the nominations for this award. And the nomination that will win the 2025 Best Motley Crew Award is The City Watch by Terry Pratchett. I know you guys are really surprised by that. I'll wait for a minute while you pick your jaws up off the floor, because I know that was a shock. But yeah, The City Watch by Terry Pratchett is one of my favorites ever written in fantasy, and this is the last year that I will have read it for the first time. So next year, the Motley Crew probably won't be Pratchett. Well, maybe it will. I don't know. It might not be Pratchett related, or it might. You never know. But Terry Pratchett's City Watch, easy winner for me for Best Motley Crew of 2025. Hey guys, editing Tori here. So I decided to refilm the clip about my character of the year for 2025 because I was a little bit of a mess in this section of a video, honestly, but I really hadn't had time to think through and articulate exactly why my favorite character of the year was my favorite character of the year and which ones I for sure wanted to nominate. So I'm here now to redo the clip and tell you who my nominees are for character of the year. So the first nominee is going to be Wireman from Doohickey. This character made the book for me, and I loved the book overall, but Wireman was the heart of the story in my opinion, and he was the kind of friend that all of us need in our lives, the one who's going to call us on our crap and also be there to have our back in the moments that matter the most. He's a beautiful character, and I absolutely adored him in Doohickey. My second nominee is going to be Byron from the Books of Babel. Byron is the kind of character that I mentioned earlier in another category, but he, you know, when the world is going to absolute pot, you need Byron to keep some semblance of order and make sure that there is tea for everyone involved in the chaos. And Byron, over the course of the series, just became such a near and dear character. I still think about him. I look forward to rereading the series overall, but especially for Byron. And my third nominee for this category is going to be Saul, who is from A Haunt for Jackals. And she was one of my favorite characters last year as well. She is honestly the female character in fantasy that is written the way I love to see female characters written, especially when they're warriors. She's so well written, you guys. So well written. All of these characters are incredible, but the one that elicited the most strong responses from me while I was reading their story was Byron from the Books of Babel. Byron is going on the list as one of my favorite characters in fantasy of all time. I absolutely love him, you guys. And honestly, I could have just given the trophy to all three of these characters because they're all absolutely phenomenal. But Byron is officially my character of 2025. So that is my official book awards from 2025. I hope you guys enjoyed this. I would love to know your answers to any and all of these book awards down in the comments below. Don't forget to check my description box for links to all of my social media accounts and my website where you can check out all of my fantasy books. And yeah, I hope you guys are having a fantastic start to 2026. I hope you are reading some 5-star reads, and I'll see you in the next video.